The dim glow of a single candle flickered across the ornate wooden table in the shadow chamber, casting long, twisting shadows that danced like secrets on the stone walls. A faint scent of aged leather and ink lingered in the air, mixed with the subtle sharpness of wax melting slowly. He sat there, unmoving, his eyes fixed on her silhouette framed by the arched window, where moonlight spilled in like spilled silver. She paced restlessly, her fingers twisting the edge of her silk gown, the fabric whispering against her skin with each step. Tension coiled in the room, thick and unspoken, as if the very stones held their breath. Why did she hesitate? Her gaze darted to him, searching for a command, a word, anything, but he offered none. Yet, in that silence, something shifted. Her shoulders relaxed, her pace slowed, and she turned toward him, drawn by an invisible thread. The candle flame leaped higher for a moment, illuminating the faint smile curving his lips. What power lay in that quiet? What hidden force bent her will without a single utterance? The night deepened, and the mystery thickened, pulling you deeper into the enigma of control that thrives in the absence of words. As the hours slipped away in that chamber, the man's composure remained unbroken, a statue carved from marble amid the storm of her emotions. She had entered with fire in her eyes, words sharp as daggers ready on her tongue, challenging the very air between them. But he met her fury with stillness, his posture straight, hands folded calmly on the table, fingers tracing idle patterns on the wood grain. The scent of rain began to seep through the cracked window, carried on a cool breeze that rustled the heavy curtains. Thunder rumbled distantly, a low growl echoing her inner turmoil. She spoke first, her voice breaking the quiet like shattering glass accusations, demands, pleas woven into a tapestry of frustration. He listened, his expression unchanging, eyes reflecting the candle's light like polished obsidian. No nod, no shake of the head, just that unwavering gaze that seemed to peel away layers of her resolve. The room grew warmer, the wax pulling at the candle's base, dripping in slow rhythmic plops that marked time like a heartbeat. She faltered, her words trailing off, replaced by a sigh that carried the weight of surrender. How could silence command so fiercely? The contradiction hung there, palpable, her strength crumbling under the absence of opposition, her will yielding to the void he created. Deeper into the night, the shadows lengthened, swallowing the edges of the room until only the table's surface remained illuminated. She approached him now, her steps hesitant, the hem of her gown brushing the cold floor with a soft hush. The air tasted metallic, charged with the approaching storm, and a flash of lightning briefly etched their forms in stark white. He didn't move, didn't speak, but his presence filled the space like smoke, insidious and enveloping. She reached out, her hand hovering near his, then withdrew, as if burned by the intensity of his calm. A contradiction bloomed in her mind. Why did she feel compelled to please him when he asked for nothing? The mystery deepened with each passing second, the silence not empty but alive, pulsing with unspoken intent. Rain began to patter against the window panes, a steady drum that mirrored her quickening pulse. She sat across from him, mirroring his posture unconsciously, her body aligning with his without command. The candle sputtered, its flame dipping low, threatening to extinguish. Yet it held on, much like her resistance that now flickered weakly. In that suspended moment, the chamber transformed into a theater of the unseen, where every breath, every subtle shift carried meaning. The scent of wet earth mingled with the lingering ink, grounding the scene in raw sensory reality. He leaned back slightly, the creak of the chair the only sound he permitted, and her eyes followed the motion, captivated. No words exchanged, yet a dialogue unfolded in gestures and glances, a language older than speech. She felt it, the pull, the inexplicable urge to conform, to obey the silent decree etched in his demeanor. Lightning cracked again, closer this time, thunder shaking the walls, and in the flash, his face revealed nothing but quiet assurance. The mystery coiled tighter. How did this man wield such influence without uttering a syllable? Her hands clasped in her lap, fingers interlacing as if seeking stability in the storm. The rain intensified, sheets of water cascading down the glass, blurring the outside world, isolating them in this bubble of tension and release. As dawn's first hints crept through the storm clouds, painting the sky in muted grays, the dynamic shifted irrevocably. She rose, not in defiance, but in quiet acquiescence, moving to the window to draw the curtains tighter against the light. The candle had burned low, its wick drowning in wax, the flame a mere ember now. The air cooled, carrying the fresh, cleansed scent after rain, and she turned back to him. Her expression softened, the fire in her eyes replaced by a reflective calm. He stood then, slowly, his movements deliberate, and she stepped aside without prompt, allowing him passage. The contradiction resolved itself in that instant silence as the ultimate commander, mystery as the key to unspoken obedience. The chamber, once charged with conflict, now hummed with harmony, the sensory details fading to memory as the scene etched itself into the fabric of understanding. This tale isn't mere fiction. It's a window into a timeless art, drawn from the shadows of history where power whispers rather than shouts. Machiavelli, the master of cunning, didn't just pen treatises on princes and politics. His essence permeates the subtle dance of human interaction, especially in the realm of desire and control. But let's peel back the layers, step by step, into the method that turns silence into a symphony of submission. Machiavelli's world was one of intrigue, where the Florentine courts buzzed with alliances forged in whispers and broken in glances. Picture the Renaissance halls, marble floors echoing with the soft tread of velvet slippers, air scented with rose water and ambition. In such places, words were weapons, but silence was the shield that disarmed. His secret method begins with the foundation of presence being there, fully, without the crutch of verbosity. It's about crafting an aura that commands attention, where your mere existence becomes a gravitational force. Women, attuned to the nuances of emotion, sense this immediately. Their psychology thrives on the unspoken, on the vibes that ripple beneath the surface. Domination starts emotionally, not through force, but through the vacuum you create, pulling her into your orbit. Consider the psychology at play. Women often navigate relationships through empathy and intuition, reading micro-expressions, body language, the tilt of a head, or the arch of a brow. Machiavelli understood this innately. His method exploits it by withholding verbal cues, forcing her to interpret to fill the gaps with her own projections. This creates a bond, invisible yet ironclad, where she begins to anticipate your desires, obeying not out of fear, but out of a deep-seated need to resolve the tension you've built. It's tactical, social engineering. At its finest, position yourself as the enigma, and she becomes the solver, investing her energy into deciphering you, which in turn binds her loyalty. Dive deeper into the strategy. Start with observation. In any encounter, watch her patterns, the way her eyes light up at compliments, the subtle flinch at criticism, but say nothing. Let your gaze linger just a second longer, conveying approval or disapproval through the intensity alone. This taps into her emotional core, where dominance isn't shouted but felt. Social tactics come next. Surround yourself with an air of mystery. Share stories sparingly, letting implications hang like mist. She'll chase the details, her curiosity morphing into compliance as she seeks to please the source of intrigue. Immersion hits when you layer in psychological depth. Women's minds often weave narratives around strong, silent figures. Think the brooding hero in tales that captivate. Machiavelli's method mirrors this. Become that figure. Use pauses in conversation not as awkward gaps, but as power plays. When she speaks, absorb her words, respond with a nod or a subtle smile, guiding her thoughts without directing them overtly. Emotional domination flourishes here. She feels seen, understood, yet challenged to earn more of your silent affirmation. Tactics evolve in social settings. At a gathering, position yourself centrally but speak minimally. Let others orbit you and watch how she gravitates, compelled by the group's deference. This social proof amplifies your silent command. Her psychology registers you as alpha, triggering obedience rooted in evolutionary cues. Dominate through association. Be seen with influencers, but remain aloof, making her strive for your undivided attention. Narratively, Build on this with real-world parallels. Recall historical figures who embody this Machiavelli himself, advising rulers to appear merciful yet strike decisively, all while maintaining composure. Translate to modern dynamics. In a date, let silence stretch after her question, forcing her to elaborate, revealing more while you reveal less. This imbalance creates dependency, her emotions tethered to your responses, or lack thereof. Psychological immersion intensifies as we explore the female psyche's response to ambiguity. Uncertainty breeds attraction, silence fosters it. She interprets your quiet as confidence, depth, mystery qualities that evoke submission. Tactically, employ the withdrawal maneuver. After building rapport silently, pull back slightly, a turned shoulder, or averted gaze. This emotional void pulls her in, her need for resolution driving obedience. Socially, leverage networks, cultivate alliances that enhance your stature without words, handshakes, knowing looks. She sees this web and positions herself within it, obeying to secure her place. Domination becomes effortless, her actions aligning with your unspoken will, fluidly transitioning. Consider the layers of emotional control. Machiavelli taught that fear and love intermingle, but in silence, it's fascination that reigns. Craft scenarios where your presence alone dictates flow. A touch on the arm, lingering, says more than paragraphs. Her psychology decodes it as command, responding with compliance born from intrigue. Tactics sharpen. Use environmental cues. In dim lighting, your silhouette commands. In crowds, your isolation draws her. This immersion pulls her deeper, her mind rewriting narratives to favor your silent directives. As we delve further, the narrative unfolds into advanced stratagems. Machiavelli's prince rules through perception. Apply this to interpersonal realms. Become the mirror, reflect her emotions back silently, making her feel profoundly connected, thus obedient to maintain that bond. Psychologically, women often seek emotional leaders. Your silence positions you as such, guiding without guiding. Domination thrives in this subtlety, her submission a natural outgrowth. Social tactics include selective engagement, ignore trivialities, focus intensity on key moments. This rarity makes your attention addictive, her obedience the price for more. Immersion peaks in prolonged interactions. Over days, weeks, your consistent silence builds a fortress of influence, her actions preempting your needs, obedience woven into habit. Narratively, envision a modern Machiavelli. In boardrooms or bars, he commands respect wordlessly, women drawn to his enigma, obeying to unravel it, deepen with psychological insights. Attachment theory plays in your unpredictable silence, mimics intermittent reinforcement, heightening her investment. Tactically, employ body language as weapon, crossed arms for barriers, open palms for invitations, all silent signals she heeds. Emotional domination consolidates when she internalizes your standards, self-regulating to align with your perceived expectations. Socially, manipulate group dynamics. Your silence in debates makes others feel voice, positioning you as arbiter, her obedience following the crowd's lead. The rhythm flows into mastery levels. Machiavelli warned of adaptability, very silence's tone warm, cool, intends to keep her off balance. Obedience reflexive, psychological depth reveals how silence exploits her empathy, drawing her to fix the quiet, submitting in the process. Domination evolves into symbiosis. She obeys not from coercion, but from the pleasure of syncing with your silent rhythm. Tactics include ritualization. Establish patterns where your presence signals routines she follows wordlessly. Immersion becomes total, her world orbiting your quiet core. In this development, the narrative crescendos toward transformation. From initial mystery to ingrained obedience, the method reshapes dynamics. Machiavelli's legacy endures because it taps universal truths. Power whispers in the spaces between words. Psychologically, women's relational orientation makes them primed for the silence as canvas for their projections, obedience, the art they create. Domination, emotional, and profound. Binds without chains. Social tactics seal it. Public displays of your influence make her private obedience inevitable. The flow carries us to the pinnacle, where silence isn't absence, but the loudest command. As the layers unfold, the essence crystallizes. Mastery in minimalism, obedience harvested from the fertile ground of unspoken desire. In the quiet aftermath, the chamber of our minds echoes with change. You've journeyed through shadows of strategy, emerging with a toolkit forged in historical fire, sharpened by psychological insight. This method isn't about manipulation for its sake, but transformation, yours and hers, into a dance where obedience flows like water, natural and unforced. Feel the shift within. Confidence blooming from silence, power radiating without proclamation. She's not just obeying, she's evolving, drawn to the depth you embody. This is the true legacy, a life where words are optional, influence eternal. Now, if this resonated, hit that subscribe button to dive deeper into these timeless arts. Like if silence speaks to you, comment your thoughts below. Has it worked in your world? Share this with someone ready for the shift, and let's build a community of quiet conquerors.